As a child, I was very shy. I was the eldest of seven children, so there was a lot of pressure put on the eldest child. My father was very strict with us. We had to be the best at everything. We weren't allowed to cry or show any emotion because that was a weakness in his eyes. Looking back now, I would say there was mental health issues with my father. This would have had an impact on me growing up, as I wouldn't have had a lot of confidence, and I was always trying to please my father as he was a perfectionist. I always felt a longing to be loved. In my teens, I met the love of my life, and soon after being with him, I got pregnant. My father was very angry and disappointed in me, so I had to leave the family home. The man who I thought was to protect me had rejected me, and I felt my partner would protect me. His mother and father took me in to live with them. It was hard at first living in a home where I didn't know them, and I'd missed my brothers and sisters. During this time, my partner was seeing another girl, which broke my heart. I felt I had nobody. After a while, we broke up and I moved out. Then, 5 years later, we got back together again. Over the years, we had four beautiful children. I was still able to hold down a job. Years later, my relationship of 26 years finished and my mother had died. And that's when my addiction became out of control. My kids were done with me. They wouldn't talk to me. I would sit in my bedroom all day feeling sorry for myself. One day, my kids rang my brothers and sisters. They came down to me for a family intervention. I was in denial. But when confronted by them saying that I needed to go to treatment, I chose to go to Tiglin. So I agreed and we started the process where I came into the lighthouse for my assessment. 2 months later, I got the phone call saying that there was a bed for me in Tiglin. In Tiglin, having the structure of my life and learning about boundaries, routines really helped me. I got so much from the counselling, the key working, and the classes. This is also where I found faith. At first, I found it hard to grasp. It was when we were doing a class and it was said to us that God is our Father and my biological father is my earthly father. I then could hear my father in my head saying, God is not your father, I'm your father. I thought I was being disloyal to my father, so I found it really hard to open my heart up to God. It was only when it was said to me, your biological father's in heaven, and in heaven is where everything you had known your father to be was not there anymore. And he's filled with love, and he would want you to accept God's Father in your heaven. It was then I was able to open myself up to God. After finishing my 16-month programme, I returned to the Lighthouse on a community employment scheme for 2 years. This scheme was a way to help me gain my confidence back in the workplace. Then I was offered a job doing assessments for the men and women going into Tiglin. 2 years after that, I applied for a community employment supervisor's job, which I got. Today, I'm drug-free, my life is good, I still come up against challenges, but life is life. But when I do, I pray to God to help me through certain things. I feel like God is with me every step of the way, and I trust He has better things for me. I go to church, I listen to my worship music. The worship music, it gives me such an inner peace feeling. God knows our hearts. I always had a heart for helping people. We all go through things in life. When I sit with people who are struggling with their addiction, I can relate to them. And I know God is always with me and He's always with them too. I'm still a work in progress and I still have a lot to learn.